Hello everyone, this is Click English with Fifi. Here, you can improve your English with just a click. Today, we're going to learn the difference between must and have to. Many English learners think these two words have exactly the same meaning. Although they are very similar, we don't always use them in the same situation. By the end of this lesson, you'll know when to use must and when to use have to, and you'll be able to avoid one of the most common mistakes in English. What do they have in common? Both must and have to express obligation. For example, you must wear a seat belt, or you have to wear a seat belt. So what's the difference between these two examples? So, must. We usually use must when the obligation comes from the speaker. Here are some examples. You must finish your homework. I, the speaker, am telling you that you must do it. You must finish your homework. The next example. You must call your parents. I, as a speaker, am telling you that you must call your parents. And the third example, you must be careful. Now, let's look at have to. We use have to when we talk about rules, laws, or obligations that come from outside us. In other words, someone else decides the rule, not you. These rules might be set by the government, your school, your workplace, or another organization. They are rules that we are expected to follow or obey. For example, if you're driving, you have to wear a seatbelt because it's the law. If you work in an office, you may have to arrive at 9 in the morning because it's a company rule. So remember, we use have to when the obligation comes from an external source, not from our own opinion. Here are some examples. I have to wear a uniform because it's the school's law. Or, we have to be at work by 9 because this is the rule set by the company I work in. And the last example, I have to pay my taxes because it's the government's law. Now, let's have a review. Both must and have to can express obligation, but the reason for the obligation is different. We use must when the speaker feels that something is important or necessary. It reflects a personal opinion, strong advice, or a decision made by the speaker. On the other hand, we use have to when the obligation comes from an external source, such as a law, a workplace policy, a school rule, or another person's requirement. So, for have to, the rule is external rule, is set by a company or the government, and someone else decides what you have to do. Now, let's look at the negative forms. This is one of the most confusing parts of today's lesson. But don't worry, it's actually quite simple once you understand the meaning. We use mustn't when something is prohibited. It means don't do it. There is a rule or a law that says you're not allowed to do something. In other words, if you do it, you are breaking a rule. For example, you mustn't smoke in the hospital. It's against the rule, and if you do so, you are breaking a rule. Or, you mustn't park here. There's a sign here that parking is prohibited, so do not park here. Or, you mustn't use your phone during the exam. This is against the rule. Visitors mustn't enter this area. It is prohibited. In all of these examples, the action is forbidden and you shouldn't do it. Now, let's look at don't have to. This is a completely different meaning. We use don't have to when something is not necessary. It doesn't mean you can't do it. It simply means there is no obligation. You are free to do it if you want, but you are not required to. For example, you don't have to come early. You don't have to wear a suit. You don't have to finish the project today. Or she doesn't have to work on Sundays. Notice that don't have to gives you a choice. There isn't a rule saying you must do it. Now it's your turn. Complete the sentence with have to, don't have to, must, and mustn't. If you have a question, comment below. And don't forget to subscribe to Click English with Fifi for more English lessons.